All right, we're rewriting copy today. Today's example is from Gusta. They are a vegan sausage company based out of Montreal. Let's take a look. All right, so today we're looking at Gusta sausages. These are a plant-based sausage company based out of Montreal. And I'm on their product page under the sausages section. It says vegan sausages for a change. Sausages don't grow on trees. Whether they're made from animal or vegetable protein, they're still sausages. Ours get their flavor from succulent vegetables, and they're perfectly seasoned with spices and herbs. If you think they taste like meat, ask yourself if it isn't the meat that tastes like our sausages. Okay, so there's a lot of things I would change. I don't like any of this stuff, so we'll get to that in a minute. And then vegan sausages for a change. I'm not really sure what that means. I would assume that anyone coming to this website already knows they're plant-based. I can't imagine many people just randomly searching sausage companies and stumbling upon this company and not having any idea what they are. But even like it says in their name, Gusta plant-based. I can't read that, I think that's French. So I wouldn't necessarily lead with vegan sausages. We all know that. And then for a change, to me, this kind of sounds like secondary. You know, it sounds like that you're speaking to an audience that mostly eats meat sausages and you're trying to convince them to eat vegan sausages. But your audience is already vegan. They're already plant-based. They're already here. You're not changing anyone's mind. And here it says, you know, if you think it tastes like meat, I think they're going at this all wrong. And even like here it says, you know, whether they're made from animal or vegetable protein, they're still sausages. These guys are doing too much convincing. I wouldn't do that. Seems like it comes from a place of weakness and they're trying to take out the meat industry, but I don't think that's the way to go about it. All right, so here's what I would do. All right, so I would change it to herb and spice up any meal. If you recall in their original website, they did talk about herb and spices. I think this is a clever way to tie that back in. It's a double entendre here, so we're talking about herbs and spices, of course, but we're also talking about spicing up your meal, so it's, you know, hinting on the flavor. Then I say any meal, so I'll come back to that. We'll just read this blurb. It says, make any of our mouth-watering, face-melting, taste-bud-exploding flavors the main star of your meals. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I've got meal, and then I reiterate this breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm trying to plant a subliminal message that, you know, you could use this for any meal. So maybe it's a breakfast sausage. Maybe it's something you want to put on some pasta at lunch or dinner. So I'm trying to get them to imagine all the ways they can use it. But it's really the flavors that I'm selling. I'm not selling that they're plant-based. I assume my audience already knows that. So I'm making the assumption that people coming to this website are already like, you know, 80 to 90% sold. Maybe they're a little bit further down the buying cycle on this type of product. So I'm just trying to get them over that barrier to take them to the next level. All right, so we still have the plant-based and the made in Canada. I like that. And we scroll down and we're seeing vegan dog, pesto, mushrooms, Italiana, smoked onion, smoked paprika, apple maple, smoked spices. I would revisit these. I don't think these names are that strong or that appealing. The reason why I went with this mouth-watering, face-melting, taste bud exploding, this is very kind of bombastic language. So I used to work at a company called Earl's, which is a restaurant here in Canada. They might have it in the States, I'm not sure. But when I worked there, I was a server there, and they had this thing called romancing the food, which is essentially a fancy way to use a lot of enticing adjectives to sell the food. Instead of saying a steak, you would say something like a sizzling butter and thyme basted New York strip. Or instead of, you know, a side of potatoes, it becomes a creamy and buttery garlic bacon infused mashed topped with organic parsley, something like that. I'm just making this up, but it'd be something like that. Like everything, you'd have to use these adjectives to really tap into that emotion and to get them salivating and really, you know, create that strong desire. So I want to take that same approach with this, but these names don't really make my mouth water. You know, vegan dog, okay. I mean, aren't they all vegan dogs? This one, pesto, I don't know. That doesn't really excite me. Mushrooms, boring. Italiana, boring. Smoked onions. I mean, now we're getting into, you know, smoked sounds a little bit better than just onion flavor or smoked paprika. Apple maple, getting a little bit better. Smoked spices. So I don't know, just taking this pesto one, for example, I might change it to something like Italian garden pesto or something like that. I don't know, we could probably come up with some fun names for these, but you know, I'm just kind of put on the spot. I wasn't really planning on naming these in this exercise, but now that I'm here, I think these names need to be revisited. So what do you think? Did I improve it or do you prefer the original?